have all these amazing, wonderful questions. And I know we only have a certain amount of time, but you create your own one-woman solo shows and
Yeah.
short films. I mean, you write, you produce, you star in. I mean, how important do you think that is for actors to do?
Oh, so important. Although I have to say that is why I hesitated when you asked the question about, what is your joy? Because it is one of my joys, doing my solo shows, and yet they are tremendously personal, and in them I am 100% myself, which is ironic because here my answer ultimately was disappearing into other people,
Right.
um, which is interesting.
Interesting.
Um, yeah. Anyway, no, I found that, I don't know, maybe at one point back in the days of Rita Hayworth and Ava Gardner, you could just go sit at the Formosa and with a drink with a bunch of umbrellas coming out of it, and here comes the Rat Pack to swoop you up and put you in their 3-picture deal. Maybe that happened. I don't know. It definitely doesn't happen now.
Yeah.
And so the fact is, people are creating their own material, and if you're not, well then good luck to you. Like, it's not enough to just have a pretty face or a big rack or be related to somebody. At least, well, I don't have any of those, but I think that I think content is king, and by creating content, you're making yourself that much more of a commodity.
Mm.
You're, so, in some cases it's enough to just be an actor. In my case, it wasn't. It hasn't been. I mean, I I got lucky to have gotten Pepper, but at the same time, I wouldn't have lasted in this business all those 22 years between starting out and getting Pepper had I not been creating my own material.
Right.
Because the fact is, just driving across town, to do your couple lines as Dom Fokker, or deliver profiles or whatever it is that you're being asked to do as an actor. 22 years of that it can be pretty demoralizing, especially, I mean, in my case, I was not getting roles in a traditional way. It wasn't until I started creating my own roles that I started to not only see any sort of results or have any success,
Yeah.
but more importantly, I was like feeding my artist soul.
Mm.
And I was no longer, it didn't even matter if I was getting the role or not. I was happy, which
Yeah.
is what it's all about ultimately. So I stopped, honestly, like, even had Pepper not come around, I mean, glad she did, but even if she hadn't have been, I'd found my bliss. I was happy creating my little YouTube sketches and writing my one-woman shows, and I'd probably still be doing them even without. In fact, I am still doing them. I'm working on a 3rd solo show now, so I think it's important in every way. I think it's important to keep, like, feeding that artist's soul. I think it's important to keep you, in the game. I think it's important to remain competitive in this day and age where everyone else is creating. And if you're not, well, then you're kind of an anomaly and you probably ought to get to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's fine if you're, like I said, Ava Gardner, great, but I'm not.
Well, this is the time to, I mean, this day and age, like you said, they don't do that other, sit in the the
Well, yeah,
little bar or wherever, and it's like, oh, or the drugstore or wherever you get located at.
yeah.
Um, three of our students and friends and family from Meet the Biz and Performing Arts Studio West sent in some questions.
Oh, great.
I have three different questions here. Ranjani Reyes, she said, what was your favorite thing about your character on the set of American Horror Story?
Um, I think the freedom with which I was able to play her. I think I was not micromanaged in the least. All I got was one piece of direction,
Yeah.
and that was do Schlitzie. So Schlitzie, as we all know, was a real life microcephalic from the 1933 film Freaks, and he was my muse. He was the model for Pepper, and I knew as an actress, as long as I was staying true to Schlitzie, then I was doing my job.
Yeah.
And that was beautiful. The fact that that the directors and producers and creator trusted me to with they gave me this very just as much as I needed. It was two words, do Schlitzie, and that's all I needed. And so the fact that I had both their faith and trust, but also um yeah, the freedom to to uh to take that bit of that little pearl of wisdom and do with it what I wanted and what I felt was necessary.
Oh, I love that. I love
Yeah.
it. I love that freedom that
Yeah.
um, Andy Arias, who is a dear friend, and he was one of my first students. She's an amazing actress. How did she tap into all those unique personalities, life experience or training? And he said also give a hug to her for me.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I know Andy. Hi, Andy. Ay, ay, ay. Well, yeah, life experience. I mean, I've been here forever on this earth, so I suppose
And on other planets.
yeah. No, but I think Pepper's very different from me, obviously. So I think it's important to kind of find your where you're similar and where you're different. And unlike most actors, I think I am more excited by the ways we're different. Like I would always, let's face it, most actors tend to play themselves. Like they'll find aspects of themselves and what am I trying to say? I just think in general, when we see an actor, on Seth Meyers or whatever, they're often not that far away from the character that we see them in the movie that they're promoting. They physically look like them, and maybe there are a lot of similarities.
Right.
In my case, I really like to disappear into the person. Like that is part for me of the thrill.
Yeah.
Occasionally I'll get an audition or whatever where I look and maybe seem a lot like him or her,
Right.
and that's less interesting to me. I can still do it, but I am excited by the idea of by the dissimilarities as opposed to the similarities. Although I think they're both important. I think in the case of Pepper, I had literally nothing in common with her physically, very little mentally. I mean, technically she's has the brain capacity of a 4-year-old, and I went to Ivy adjacent school. Uh, um, Emotionally, I mean, my goodness, we've lived very different lives. She was in an orphanage, then relegated to an insane asylum. Like I haven't had that experience. I lived in a really sheltered little, home in Denver, Colorado, then lived abroad in Argentina. I mean, we don't have a lot in common.
Mm.
Um, socio, you name it, in all the ways. But it is important to have something. And let's face it, she has a huge capacity to love.
Mm-hmm.
And that I can relate to. Like, I just want to play, and as does Pepper. So I think it is really important that there's something to hang our hat on. There's some, like, it's not like I'm someone we do have some things in common, but yeah, I could go on and on and on about how, I mean, I don't even look like her. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Well,
so
it's interesting how it's so true. It comes from your core and the core of love.
Yes.
Yeah.
In her case, for sure, that was it.
For that.
Yeah. I mean, as an actress, we all have our processes, and in my case, it was really from the outside in. I really found that the hair and makeup really helped. It's just like, if you've ever had the experience of going into a wig shop and putting on a mane, that at least me, all of a sudden, like, if I put on a long hair, oh, there you go. What are we gonna see?
I don't know. I have pearls. What else do I have?
What happens when you put them on? What does it do?
Oh, I don't know. Should I put on the pearls? I used this for Halloween once. I could, like, ow.
There you go. I just know, when I have had the experience of putting on a long hair, all of a sudden I sound like Sofia Vergara. Look at you. All of a sudden you've literally started, like, you sat up a little straighter.
I did.
You pursed your lips. You did all kinds of things. You became this, like, it's like this Mrs. Doubtfire.
Right? Just think if I had a wig and glasses on now.
Oh, yeah.
It is interesting. I didn't know what would happen with this. And because I was looking for maybe glasses or something, I said, this is what I grabbed. But it is interesting how I sat up straight. It should be more.
You did. I think you even clenched your butt cheeks a little.
Yes, what little butt I have. But
I wasn't going to go there. But yeah, I noticed you went, whoop. It's like you totally took on this new person. And that was the same for me and Pepper.
Yeah.
She, the minute they put those pieces on, I sort of, like, my posture went like this. My face went like that. And I don't know. I physically sort of took on this other person. In the meantime, it's not all the outside, though. There's also, obviously, you can't just be exterior, and vice versa. You can't just be interior, although a lot of actors are. But again, that's not the kind of actor that I try to be.
Right.
So, not that there's anything wrong with it. It's just that's me.
Right.
But so yes, I had created a whole interior, an inside world, which honestly no one got to see until much later. I mean, let's face it, when in season 2, episode 1, when we meet Pepper for the first time, and Sister Mary Eunice says, "Oh, Pepper, she mentioned all these terrible things that I allegedly did."
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true. In fact, I didn't have any reason to believe it wasn't true. we had no idea. So if you look back, you'll see I kind of look back at her with a like this sort of like, maybe I did, maybe I didn't. We
Yeah.
don't know. Which it works both ways. It wasn't until, well, I suppose later on in that season we find out that I was framed, but it
Right.
wasn't until 2 seasons later that we actually hear the real story. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's but the point is, even though, just like Dom Fokker, I didn't have a whole lot to say, but I needed an internal life, right? Whether or not you were going to actually get it from the horse's mouth, whether or not I actually got a chance to articulate that story was neither here nor there. The fact is, I needed to have it. There needed to be something going on other than, the makeup doesn't act.
Yeah.
The makeup just sits on your face. You got to do something with that makeup.
Yeah.
And so having that internal life, having that story that I created for myself, whether or not the audience actually gets to hear it is neither here nor there. The fact is, I had a story. So, I've answered Andy's question and then some, but
It's gorgeous answer.
what I'm trying to say is
What a lesson.
it's a yin and yang. It's
Yeah.
the inside and outside. You really, as far as I'm concerned, you can't neglect either. They're both come together to make one.
Yeah. Wow, that was great.
Oh.
Last thing, first of all, Teresa Durex just loves you. She said, I love Naomi. The last question. What is one of your proudest moments in your life?
I'm not gonna lie. The moment at my high school reunion, which, by the way, was a kind of a train wreck. They didn't rent out the place for just us. It was not just the high school. It wasn't just my high school. It was also like just random Denver Bronco fans that happened to come to this bar.
Oh my God.
But yeah, the point is, this is not my favorite moment, but I just have to tell you this moment because it occurred to me. When the random Denver Bronco fan wandered up to the head mean girl from high school and asked her if she would take a picture of the two of us, implying that I was famous and would she please take a photo. That was the moment that like little 12-year-old Naomi was like, thank you, felt truly validated. Because yeah.
I could see that. I could see that, growing up and having those bullies beat on you, and then all of a sudden that bully is now, oh, can you take our picture?
Yeah. Having the the ex-boyfriend who, it didn't work out, but then going to the Comic-Con in his, well, not only town, but country, Mexico, and having him see me up on a stage, where the last time he'd seen me, I was on a stage doing improv with more performers than there was audience. Then cut to having him see me up on a stage with a long queue of his countrymen, crying at the thought of having a selfie with me. I mean, these are moments where, we all want our exes to see us to succeed, but to have him literally see me succeed, that, those are I mean, yeah. Was that my proudest moment though? No, I'm getting to my proudest moment.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. Again, watching my IMDb, and the day I became number one.
I love that.
I mean, who cares, really? Like I said, ultimately, IMDb is the ultimate of mean girl high school like popularity contest. But it's literally a popularity contest with the world. And when I was like on top of Ryan Gosling and all the other like gorgeous men I've ever wanted to be on top of, like in the world, like, yeah, that felt pretty freaking great. Even though again, ultimately I was like, you know, who cares? I'm okay. I'm gonna finally settle with this though.
I love
This
this.
is the one I had
Yeah.
to like build up.
No, I
Those,
love it all. All of these are great.
those were like my top three. Now we're now at number one.
Right.
Honestly, I'm gonna say the day I left Edinburgh, which of course, you know, Edinburgh is the home of the largest theater festival in the world, in Scotland. I took my one woman show and I did this epic like run in which every single night, you know, at 11 p.m. I heft my way uphill uphill both ways with a duffel full of dildos to do my show for you know, sometimes a, you know, half empty crowd, sometimes a raucous, you know, it depends. It's very hard to get drunk Scotsmen up 5 flights of stairs. So the nights that I filled it, believe me, it meant something. But the fact is, you know, that it was like climbing Kilimanjaro. Like it was like, for an actor, that is the ultimate, you know, and I did it. And it was so hard. And I'll never forget my last day, as when I had to leave, I was so sad. I was crying as I pulled out of there, because honestly, like, I could have done that forever. I could have performed for maybe 50, maybe a half dozen drunk Scotsmen for the rest of my life. I was just so happy telling my story every night, as hard as it was, and as cold as it was, and as wet as it was, and as, you know, late as it was, every single night. And yet I was doing what I loved, and that was the most joyous I've ever felt. Better than being on top of Ryan Gosling, if you can imagine, and having that mean girl take my photo.
Oh, I would comment about Ryan Gosling, but I better not. He's great. And so are you. What a joy you are, and what a I was listening to your stories, and you just uplifted me. Just you just, yeah. You know, I mean, you and me right now, I'm just you know, you get trapped in these four walls now, and to have these connections like we just did, and to hear your success makes me happy.
Well, I was gonna say, we are in quarantine, so the bar is quite low. If I lifted you up, it's probably because it's just barely off the floor, right?
Oh my God. Well, last night I was on the floor because I couldn't get up. My back was out.
Oh no. Well, see, so I wasn't wrong. I wasn't that far off.
Oh my God.
No, but it's true. I feel the same way. You know, this is such a weird, isolating time, and the fact that, you know, we at least have this,
yeah,
you know.
Thank God.
Oh my
We didn't
God.
have this years ago.
Right? In 1917, in the Spanish flu or whatever, they didn't have this.
Yeah.
So we're lucky.
Thank you, my dear. This was wonderful.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry I'm such a talker.
No, my God, it's gorgeous. What a lesson you gave us all.
Oh, well, good.
Lessons. Lessons.
What?
Lessons, plural, with an S.
Indeed.
Pepper, go pepper, banana, fanta, fo pepper, fee, fi, mo, mepper, pepper.
You know, the best way for me to introduce myself would be to do a monologue.
Okay.
My vagina is unto the world's vagina.
Save your baby, save your soul.
Excuse me, I'm here to make an appointment. That's Jess. She's on the phone. That's what the finger was.
I got that.
So, you're making an appointment. Good for you. Maybe I'll be your escort.
Okay.
Walk you to the car, you know, protect you from the crazies.
Okay.
So you're an actress? I hope to be. It's fine, so long as you go on all your auditions after 9 p.m. We do not drink, smoke, or swear in front of the client. Got it? Sure. Above all else, our main concern is to protect and control the client's likeness, image, and fragile ego.